Hey, Dylan, I got the, Okay, well, I'm back in college, and I don't have my camera operator, so I'm gonna have to do this on my own. Don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of fun so far copying different video ideas from popular YouTubers. Today's no different because I'm gonna go around campus and I'm gonna vlog my whole college experience. Nah, I'm just f***ing with you, I'd rather die. That being said, I do want to show you guys a little behind the scenes on my video editing workflow. Don't leave. Right now, I'm editing a video for Swimming World featuring Paralympic champion Mackenzie Cohen. And she actually says, sorry, I'm getting a call. So you're saying you can't pay me because the show is called Calvin the Intern?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's just change it to Calvin the Paid Employee.
Doesn't really have a ring to it.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't have a ring to it. Anyways, I want to give you guys a little bit of a tutorial on how to make this video more dynamic. So the first thing we want to do is we want to animate in some text. Now, this starts with some basic keyframing where we're going to...
Viewers don't want a Premiere tutorial, they just want funny.
So now that we're done with that, we can add in some images, we can move into adjusting the audio, we can add some music in the background. So it's 3 a.m. and we just finished the video. So let's see the final product.
I'm a swimmer on the U.S. Paralympic national team.
Stunning, clean, innovative, genius, perfect, synonyms. Now that the video is finished, we can export and send it off to Swimming World. Welcome back to the third episode of Calvin the Intern. This week, I have the pleasure of interning. Oh my fucking God. So this is Caroline.
Hey.
And I am interviewing Caroline this week. Caroline, what do you do at the CG Sports Company?
See, that was great. I thought that was lovely.
We're going to keep that.
We're going to keep that. Hi, I'm Caroline.
Hello.
I have been working at CG Sports Co., which started as CG Sports Management, which Calvin, I've also been equally as confused by you with all the rebranding. And
yeah.
Every time I'm on like the network or whichever one it is, I'm like, I say it so slowly now. I'm like CG Sports Management. I started working for CG Sports Management in January 2019. So coming up on 2 years almost.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I was an administrator. I've gone on to do social media work, event work, logistics stuff.
Yeah.
And as of late, I have been the primary designer for the team. So my role is senior manager of creative and branding. And I help out with marketing, website stuff, graphic design, and still doing events, virtual events like these, and crowdcast events, streaming events, private team events. Yeah, so I've kind of dabbled in all aspects of the business besides direct sales itself.
Yeah.
But it's been quite the ride. So I guess right now what I do for CG Sports Management is I do a lot of graphic design.
And then also, how would you describe, we've kind of got a little team of our own between you, Rachel, and I. How would you describe our dynamic as a cohesive video team?
How do I describe it?
Yeah. What do we do?
It's a dream to work with you guys. We each have like our own little part of the machine. We're each like our own little gear. I would just say like I'm the one who starts the crank, and then you and Rachel are like the two pieces off of it that just keep the machine going. I would just say like I'm the one that like, yeah, you like that? That was good. Okay.
Good analogy.
And I just feel like the whole time, like I just keep the gear turning, and the two of you just like keep producing the content and the ideas with it as well. And then I kind of like am also the person that turns it off and brings it full circle and then ends the project too.
Yeah.
But definitely would not be able to do my job without the two of you.
Well,
I was really stoked.
I mean,
yeah, I can't even tell you, Calvin, how stoked I was when you came on board, because CG and Matt had asked me to do all the video editing. I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it because I did video editing in college, and it just, for me, it's so tedious and time consuming. And you really do have to have a certain eye for it. And I didn't have that eye for it that you have. Like, you're really good at like where to cut, where to edit, watching the B-roll almost endlessly and figuring out like, yeah, this is a good one. This isn't a good one.
Yeah.
And that was something that like I not only didn't have the patience for, but I didn't have a good eye for it. I wasn't good at picking up on the best parts of it. And you're really good at that. And so I was so stoked when you came on board and like, he's like, oh, like you have an intern now. And I was like, great. So I teach all this stuff too. Like not that I didn't like not think highly of you, but I was like, okay, like, it's like, I'm gonna have to like walk them through everything. And it's been cool because you've kind of really taken your own lead. And I was like really impressed by you right out of the gates. I was like, oh, I get to teach this kid the cool stuff. Like, I don't have to teach him like the fundamentals and basics. Like, I get to teach him like the more in-depth side of the marketing. So that was really cool. And I was really stoked because I got to know you, and it's just been really fun working with you and Rachel.
No, I mean, I'm so glad to be in this position and have you teach me some of those things. And also sometimes you become tech support, but you know, I appreciate it. So you mentioned that in college you did do some video editing. I know. So you majored in sports communication, right?
And graphic design.
And graphic design. Okay. Because when I was looking at that, I was like, that led Caroline, like that's exactly what you're doing right now.
Exactly. And I couldn't say it was pretty cool. The college I went to, I went primarily to swim, and it's a D3 school. So people are like, that's weird that you did that for D3. But my coach had gone to school there. My best friend was going to swim there. And I was like, I loved the team when I went. It was still close enough to home. But when I went there, they didn't have anything advertising or marketing. And I knew that that was what I wanted to get into. I'd done a little bit of graphic design in college, and I loved it. I'm very personable. I love communicating. And I was like, I just want to make this marriage happen. And then the school didn't have that option. So I went into sports broadcasting and communications at first. And then when I got there, I found out they had just started a graphic design major. Like, when I say just started, I think I was like the third class to ever have it. And there was only 5 kids in the major. It was wild. Like, I had the same 5 kids in all my classes for my 4 years of college. Like, I could literally, Jimmy, Ashley, Raymond, and Dylan. Those were the kids that I went to school. Like, that was my major. It was wild. So anyway.
Wait, how big was the school?
It was a 2,700, so it was a smaller private school, but like no major was that small.
Really?
Also, so into Springfield College, and it's a massive jock school. Like, everyone there is like a strength and conditioning coach, athletic trainer, physical therapist, occupational therapist, there to become a coach in sports management in some way. Like, and then they had this weird graphic design major. It was bizarre. But I was able to make that marriage happen finally, that I really wanted to, with the communications side of it and then the graphic design side. So it was pretty cool to go through sports broadcasting and communications, because that was just as social media was getting big. And so also my class was one of the first ones to test out classes with social media. And I was immediately hooked. I've always been involved in sports and been interested in sports, but it was really cool to finally like be on the other side of the production side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just the coolest thing is that you were able to make that connection, because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people who are getting degrees and going through these majors and they're not using it, and you are literally using it.
It definitely took a while. It did. It did not happen easily. Like, right after college, as every like new graphic designer knows, like, it does not happen immediately. And graphic design is one of those things, like, it's always going to be evolving. It's always going to be trying to stay up with technology, trying to keep up with the latest trends, trying to stay up with marketing tactics. And when you're fresh out of college too, you just don't have the experience yet. And so for me, like, getting a job was really hard. And so I was working at a t-shirt shop. I was just making t-shirts, which again came useful when it started. CG wanted to launch a merch line. I was like, I know how to do this. Like, I can be in touch with it. So anyway, we'll get back to that. But I was doing just freelance graphic design for years. And I actually started working with our partner, Swimming World. And I was their social media director for 4 years, doing it entirely remotely. I started their Swimming World social media internship program, and I would travel all over the country for them, going to all the big pro swims. And would have interns reporting for me live from home, and like I would like teach them how to do it. Like they would do all the live tweeting and everything. It was awesome. It was so cool. But I wasn't doing any graphic design then. So I kind of went from them doing graphic design to just doing sports communications. And through that is actually how I met Kara Lynn. And that was when I learned how to do the events managing side of it. And then went through Lead Sports Summit and doing lead with Kara, doing the event management side. That's how I met CG. And he's like, so you know sports communication, graphic design, and event planning? I have a job for you. So,
oh my God.
And then that was 8 years later. Like that was, no, not 8 years, 6 years after graduating, 8 years now. So it definitely took a while for me to make that full circle, to make all of those things come together. But very grateful it's happened. This is the coolest job in the world. I love it so much. But yeah, definitely didn't happen right away.
Well, you stuck to it, and because you had the vision in mind of the end goal, as it were. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you've currently got the coolest job in the world, as you said. How does that compare to working for a brewery?
Oh, so fun. So I'm just naturally somebody who likes to stay busy and very involved. And I'm from a town in the woods. I live in the middle of nowhere. And when I'm really grateful I grew up here, because I'm this really small town. I knew nothing about marketing and advertising. Like I didn't live in a city until I went to college. My world was shook when I went to college. I was like, oh, this is what real people are like. This is what people are into. This is what's actually cool. Like, I kind of like almost became like fascinated and obsessed with it. And I would go home and like just like giggle at my town. I was like, marketing up here doesn't work. Like people here are still doing things by paper. Like it's just like technology has not made its ways into the northwest corner of Connecticut yet. And so when I found out there was a brewery opening here, I was like, look, I know marketing and I know the northwest corner of Connecticut. Like you should just let me come onto the team and like help you guys just do social media. Let me build your websites. Let me do some graphic design for you. And as I was getting to know them more, they're like, oh, like you also know how to plan events. Like, can you be the event manager? I was like, yeah. And they're like, you also tend to like just kind of grab hold and be a leader. Like, can you be the tap room manager? And I was like, sure. At this point, I had never worked in the service industry. I just really liked beer. And I just somehow made this marriage of like swimming, professional sports, and reporting in it and doing graphic design into a brewery world. And so then I got very heavily into the Connecticut beer scene. I almost had a beer for this. Now I'm regretting not having a beer for this.
You could have, oh my God, you could have plugged the brewery.
I know, seriously. And the brewery so the one that I helped open here in my hometown, we're like the only ones in our neck of the woods. There's very little competition for us up here, but I am lucky enough that I still get to design all of our can labels. So I've actually designed over 20 beer can labels, which is like
awesome.
Like it's cool that I'm making professional athlete logos, but like making beer cans is like more of a pride and joy to me. Now I really want a beer though.
Do it. Okay, on that, I was going to say, when I first sent you guys the like Calvin the Intern like intro, and I'd sent it to CG beforehand because I was like, I really hope he thinks this is funny, but like I like swore a couple times. There was some like crude-ish humor in there, and I was like, what can I get away with here? And I could get away with it, and you guys thought it was funny enough to. So
it's awesome. No, I think that's something that happens when you work with a startup.
Yeah,
it's much younger bosses. They're much more progressive. They just tend to be more do what you gotta do to get the job done, and that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about working for CG is like he has the mentality. He's just like, do what you gotta do to get it done. Just make sure you get it done. And he's like, if you got to like grind it out, if you got to curse and swear, if you got to just app before it, like he doesn't matter to him. He's like, I just go do what you got to do. And it's one of the coolest things about working for startups. It's funny, all these jobs that I've had, I've always worked for startups, and I love them for that reason.
Yeah.
It's cool to be in an environment where like they don't have like those strict things in place where like, no, there's no cursing, it's unprofessional.
Yeah. And that definitely, that attitude like comes through in our weekly meetings, which I mean, first off, they're very professional in the sense that like I know exactly what's going on with everyone else, and it's really constructive in that way, but also it's pretty low key. And I remember, I mean, there was probably a time, it was either like you or CG, but it was like, all right, now time to, break for the weekend, enjoy a beer. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 19. I almost forgot. Like all these people are older.
That's really funny. I never thought about that until now.
No, yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask.
Enjoy a beer with us legally.
No, I know. It's just so funny because there's times when I forget that like I'm 19 and I'm working with a bunch of people who are like a decade plus older than me.
Yeah.
And like there's this dynamic, but like I felt really integrated.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, again, another thing that's great about working with a startup is it's true. Like we bring in somebody like you and we call you an intern, but like I would never, I don't know. I've never like looked at you less or a juvenile because like your talent is where it needs to be in a professional setting and like meet the standards that we're trying to get to. So like, I don't know, that's like one thing, like I loved that when you came in, and maybe it's because I've been on the other side of that, where I've been at companies and like even a job I have right now where it's just like, it's the young new girl. Like we got to teach her everything. And like, it's like, well, like I'm actually really good at technology. Like I understand all this. Like it's okay. Like I promise I can handle this workload. Like keep bringing it in. And like with you, I kind of did that. And CG's like, just give it to him. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, and I was like that first week, we gave you so much stuff. And I was like, CG, are you sure this is okay? He's like, yep, just make sure he gets it in on time. And like, I probably micromanaged you like a little bit more than I needed to and probably should have. I just like, for me, it was like one of those things I was like, I would feel so bad if like, I know that like you're a college student. And I was like, I feel like just like forgot like this like one thing was happening. It's like, I'm sorry if I pestered you a lot, but
no,
it was very quickly apparent that I didn't need to do that. I was like, yeah, he's going to make the deadline. He knows when he has to get it in by, and he's going to do it. And it was, you just showed up really quick. And it was like, yeah, like I don't have to talk to him like he's a juvenile, like a 19-year-old. Like, and honestly, we shouldn't think about it like that in the workspace. It's like, because you're like, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like you are up to the standard that CG hired you at because he knew you could get this job done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. That helps. And for me, I've learned to like, I know when I need to ask questions. And, so now that I've learned that and we've got our own system, it's easy and I can actually perform at that level.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you sleep? Like sometimes I'll wake up to my emails and like, so I wake up 5:30 a.m. on the East Coast and I'll look at my email and be like, Calvin just sent me a video 30 minutes ago. That means that he was awake at 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yes.
On the West Coast doing work.
Yeah.
So like, do you sleep?
Occasionally I sleep. Here's the deal with the workflow. It's way more relaxing to do things in the evening. Because like no one's around, it's really calm. Like there's that sense of like, it's just chill. And also like, there's no like other distractions. Like it makes me feel like during the day, there's other stuff I should be doing.
Yes.
This is true. And it's also true at night, but I think it's just, I don't know. But yeah, I usually stay up late. Just do it.
No, I completely agree with you and relate to that. For my design work, I love to do it in the evenings because it's it's really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a fun little puzzle that we get to put together.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I consider you a designer. I don't know if like you agree with that or not, but like
I do some design work. Yeah.
I think that your video editing is designing. Like we just call it video editing, but like you are designing the layout, you're designing the flow, you're designing like there's a lot of design. Like sure, like you're not like actually like making something in Photoshop, but like you are designing a set. Like there's so much design that you do. So like in my brain, you're a designer. It's almost like a puzzle that you're doing then. So like at night, like you're rushing around all day doing the things that like you have to do. So I know what you mean by that. Like it's like the tedious things that have to get done. But then you get to sit down at night and be like, I get to work on like that fun project that I've been waiting on. Like some people sit down and read a book, some people watch a TV show, but like we just sit down and design because that's our way to relax and meditate and just like, it's a fun project. It's a fun thing to do. I always look forward to the design work I do at the end of the day. I know what you mean. Exactly. Okay, so if you work better in the evenings, okay, that makes more sense then.
It does get a little bit too late. I realize that when I'm up at 3 a.m., like it's like, okay, I should sleep because I do have to get up in like 6 hours or something. Like that.
Do you ever do that too, where you're designing and like you completely lose track of time? You're like, it's been 8 hours. I haven't eaten. I haven't gone to the bathroom. I haven't done anything.
I literally have forgotten to eat sometimes. And it's like, it's 2 p.m. and it's like, hey, I've had a coffee today. Like I need to like,
your mouth is like shaking. You're like, why is it shaking? Like, oh, I haven't eaten.
No, exactly. But like, I want to keep it so it's still like a passion project for me to do. Because like you said, I mean, I enjoy like sitting at the computer and losing track of time and like figuring stuff out because it is a puzzle and like it's still it's so enjoyable to me. And so I kind of want to like keep it in that time frame. Like it's on my own time still. You know? Yeah.
I totally know what you mean with that.
Yeah. I meant to ask you about swimming all the way back. We're going to go all the way back. Huge topic change. I was going to ask you about swimming because, I mean, you mentioned it that you kind of went to a D3 college for swimming. And I personally relate to that. I was very big into swimming and that needed to be part of it. And it ended up being a D3 school. So I guess I just wanted to ask, like, what was your experience from that? Was that all worth it? Like, what did you gain out of those 4 years? Because I know it's incredibly, I mean, now that you're working kind of in athletics, that perspective is pretty important.
So where I'm from, there's like, it's not a big swimming community. I would drive 45 minutes to go to swim practice. I was the only person at my school that like really swam. And so like, I also wasn't a swim nerd. So like while I was obsessed with swimming, like I personally was obsessed with swimming for my own means. Like I liked the socializing of it. I liked that I went to swim practice in another town. So I got to meet all these people in a different town and like all these other towns around it. And I did not know much about outside of my community of swimming. So like I didn't know about like college recruiting at all. Like I knew like the Olympics happened, but I had no idea what happened between like being a high school swimmer and the Olympics. I didn't know shit. So it's really funny that like where I am now, like how clueless I really was. But like I absolutely probably should have swam D1 and I probably would have been a much better swimmer if I had gone to a D1 program, but I didn't know that that was even an option. I just like was just guided towards Springfield and I was like, yeah, like that's where I'll go. I have friends going there. Like my coach swam there and really liked it. And I truly didn't think I was capable enough. Like I literally thought there was high school swimming in the Olympics. I was like, well, I'm definitely not that fast. So like, I can't go to a D1 school. Like in my brain, it was like you're a high school swimmer or you're an Olympian. Like that was it. So I was like, D1 is off the table. I didn't understand what D2 was. So I was like, D3, like gives me the option.
Yeah. So
that's why I swam D3 was because I didn't really know much about the outside world of it. But anyway, I was also super young. I was 17 when I went to college. Definitely regret that.
Oh.
I wish I took a gap year. I really, really wish I did. I graduated like freshly 21. Yeah, it was not. I really wish I had one more year before I went to college. I think I would have made a lot better decisions. But swimming D was amazing. I loved it. It was still as rigorous as like a D1 program. Like you were still expected to make practice every single day, no matter what. You still had the morning practices 3 days a week. Like Saturday practices were always 4 hours. You would travel crazy distance for meets. I was lucky enough that I got to go to NCAA's 3 of the years that I was there. And we didn't make it my sophomore year, but went freshman, junior, senior year. Also, heartbreaking. It still to this day hurts me. And I still like apologize to the girls on my relay. Our best placed All-American relay that we ever swam, I queued us. I'm going to tell you the story. It's like totally off topic, but like, oh my gosh.
You're fine.
So, in my grade, I had there was 3 of us sprinter girls, and we were all really, really fast. And so all throughout college, we swam the freestyle relays, literally the 2 free, 4 free, 8 free in the exact same order. So our relay starts could not have been any better. They were so good. They were so good that we were within 0.01 of each other when we'd launch. Wow. And at nationals, my senior year, I was negative 0.01. And this was the year before they took away that rule that if you're within 0.05, they're going to let it fly. It was the year before that rule.
Oh, no.
I should have one more All-American honor to my name, but I don't because I was too fast on my relay start. It was frustrating. It was so frustrating. We were like, oh, we're going to make this like 10, 15 minutes, and here we are 40 minutes later.
Okay. We should probably, let's see. Do I have anything else pressing? Second to last, incredibly pressing question. How are your pit bulls?
You're so good. They're like sleeping on the porch right there. They're living the dream. Mom was home for all of quarantine, so that was nice. Shelby and Murphy are fantastic. They're the oldest, or not the oldest. They're old. They're 8 and 9 now, but they're the laziest dogs in the world, and they're really big snuggle bugs. And yeah, they're wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Of course. So, okay, the last thing. Do you have any advice for anyone who is going into a career in graphic design or in communications, broadcasting, social media, anything like that? Or do you have any advice for interns in that regard?
Don't be discouraged because you settled for a job. You have the ability to make the best opportunity for yourself at any job that you are at. They always say, like, you kind of got to get a foot in the door and like take those crap jobs and like really beat yourself down and like work really hard to like get to where you are. But instead of looking at it like that, look at it as like you have to understand how a company operates from the ground up. And that's the only way to do it, is you have to be the person putting in the elbow grease, and like you have to be the person grinding it out sometimes. And like sometimes you do have to take like that low level job that you're like, I should definitely be getting paid more to do, but it will always pay off and you can always learn from it. There's always a takeaway. So don't get down on yourself about it. Just make the best of it. That would be my advice.
That's amazing advice.
Thanks.
So thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks for being our intern. We love you.
Of course. I'm so glad. Thanks so much, and until next time.